Friends, today we are learning advanced Flutter interview questions and answers. So the first question is, what is the Flutter rendering pipeline and how does it work? So the Flutter rendering pipeline is the process of converting widget configuration into a pixel on the screen. It involves building the widget tree, creating the render tree, layout, painting, and compositing layers. What is the role of Flutter engine in the Flutter framework? So, the Flutter engine is the part of Flutter architecture. Okay, so what is the role is? So the role is rendering the UI by interacting with the Sky graphic engine and the managing the Dart running runtime to execute Flutter and Dart code. It's handling platform channel to communicate between Dart and native code. So we are using handling for platform channel to method channel, event channel. Okay. So this is the role of the Flutter engine. What are platform channel in Flutter and when would you use them? So the platform channel allow Flutter to communicate with platform specific APIs. They are used when you need to access native features not available through Flutter's plugin or when integrating with existing native code in Android or iOS. How do you optimize performance in the Flutter application? So, the performance in the Flutter app can be optimized by avoiding unnecessary widgets, rebuild using Const constructors for immutable widgets, using listview.builder or gridview.builder for rendering large dataset lazily. Okay, so the caching image and data using cache network image or other caching solution. So we are reduce the complexity of widget tree by splitting a large widget into a smaller reusable ones. Okay, so we are create a small widgets for the reducing the complexity. Okay, and using isolate to handle a heavy competitions of the main UI thread. We are using isolation. So the isolation used to the parallel task in the uh, task we are using. Okay, explain the concept of isolation in Dart and how they can be used in Flutter. So isolation are separate execution thread that don't share memory. They useful the running computationally intensive task without blocking the main UI thread. Improve app responsiveness. So we are two and more task parallel. We are using the isolation work. Okay, how can you implement deep linking in a Flutter app? So the deep linking can be implemented in a Flutter using the URL launch package for a simple links. For more advanced handling, use platform specific implementation or the UNI links package to capture and handle incoming deep linkings. Okay, so you can also configure the app to handle specific URLs and navigation to corresponding screens. What is the difference between JIT and AOT compilation in a Flutter and when is each used? Okay, so JIT stands for just in time and AOT stands for ahead of time. So the JIT compilation is used during development to fast compilation and hot reload. They are using hot reload feature in the Flutter. So this is JIT. Okay, and AOT is ahead of time. This compilation is used to release build, reproducing producing optimized native code. We are using native code in Android and iOS using method channel, event channel, etc. What is the difference between const and final in the Dart? So the const is represent a compile time constants when the final variable is a runtime constant. Okay, so the constants meaning it is a deeply immutable and its value must be known at a compile time. Widget marked const can be used to optimize performance. Okay, and final variable marked final can only be assigned once, but its value can be set at runtime. How does Flutter handle memory management, and what are the some best practices to avoid memory leaks? So the Flutter uses Dart's garbage collection of a memory management. So the best practices include properly disposing of controllers and subscriptions, using big reference when appropriate, and avoiding holding on to the large object unnecessarily. How to handle background services in Flutter? So the platform specific code for Android, you can use service or work manager, and for iOS you can use background task. And plugin, use plugin like Flutter local notification or background fetch to schedule a background task. And the isolation, for a lightweight task, Dart isolation can be used to conjunction with platform channels. Explain state management using a block in a Flutter. So the block stands for business logic component. Bloc is a very popular state management library that separates business logic from the UI component. Block pattern is widely used for the state management. Okay, so it's use events to trigger state changes and streams to update the UI in response to state changes, ensuring a clear separation between logic and presentation. That we are state management in block pattern, we are using a state like error state, success state, loading state. Okay, what are hook in a Flutter? So the Flutter hooks are functions from the Flutter hooks package that is simply managing state in a widgets, particularly stateful widgets. Okay, so they offer a more declarative approach to state management, to allowing you to reproduce bioreplace code. How do you work with multiple Flutter flavors? So the flavors are different version on your app like dev, staging or production. You can configure flavor in a Flutter by setting up multiple main.dart file and using a different build configuration. In Android, build.gradle file, and in iOS, Xcode schema. Thank you. Please like, share and subscribe my channel.